Hey, Nerfherder, I'm Addy Thomas.
I am Ben Milton.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Certain Point of View. Today, we've got Case who's joining us.
Oh, my God.
He was just watched the Detective Pikachu trailer. We'll get to our reaction and Case's reaction to that.
I am reacting.
To that in a second, but I want to remind you can check out all of the podcasts that are part of the Certain Point of View family. That includes Certain Point of View.
Oh, my God.
That includes Another Pass.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
Oh,
That
my
includes
God.
the Scruffy Nerfherders.
Oh, my God.
Right? Crazy stuff's happened there recently. And very soon you should be hearing an episode that even goes like where we take a little break and just kind of talk about the past 30-some sessions. You can also adventure into video gaming with Fun and Games with Matt and Jeff.
Oh, my God. I can't wait to hear what they think about this.
I know. Well, I know Matt is totally down for it. Speaking of Matt, he's also joined by MJ on Reignite, their Mass Effect podcast. You can check out all of those podcasts on our website, certainpov.com. All right. Normally, Star Wars comes first, but Detective Pikachu's
Oh, my God.
first.
I would be mad if we weren't starting with this because you guys just subjected me to this trailer. Subjected is the wrong word.
Right.
Subjected me to this trailer, which I had not had a chance to watch today because today work is crazy for my industry and this time of year. Like everyone wants to drink and I sell liquor. So I hadn't seen anything about that.
Yeah.
Aside, I'd seen screen caps, but I hadn't had a chance to watch the trailer. And then you guys were saying man, I'm really excited about this. And I was like, what the fuck is this so exciting about? What is going on?
But to see Pokemon in real life,
I had no idea what this movie was going to be.
Yeah.
Just from that name. I was almost imagining it would be a Masters of the Universe style scenario where in the real world Pikachu was teleported through a phone line or from your
the
gate.
SpongeBob movie.
I haven't seen the SpongeBob
or peeing
movie,
in a
so-
fountain.
It's awful.
That would be kind of messed up. But I was imagining he's playing Pokemon and then out
Sucks
from
into
the
the world,
electricity of it
Yes.
comes Pikachu and some other electric type Pokemon or Mewtwo because fuck it, why not?
Right.
But this movie actually being it's almost doing the Pokemon movie, but it's just different enough where it's that's a weird choice. I'm fascinated by that. And the fact that I had heard it was Ryan Reynolds, I heard he could talk beforehand. I'm not surprised by that point. It didn't feel it until I actually saw him talking.
Yeah. And then you're oh, I didn't know I needed this.
This is G-rated Ted, but Ted was already adult, X-rated version of G-rated content.
We've come full circle.
Fascinated by every choice in here, by the decision to have real people in a Pokemon world, and wonder what the implications are once you get into it. Because this kind of makes me think of Super Mario Bros., which we did on Another Pass, and how weird it was doing how do you make the Mushroom Kingdom fit, and how they fail miserably in that movie.
Yeah.
And this looks like they're actually going to pull it off. But I'm curious, are we going to get the confirmation that Pokemon, the fan theory that Pokemon are actually genetically engineered weapons of mass destruction that was part of a huge war, and that the people of the Pokemon world are living in a post-apocalypse of that war? Are we going to get that? Maybe. I don't know. I doubt it.
Yeah, I doubt it. It might be a little too heavy for movie one.
But
maybe Detective Pikachu 2.
But it is fascinating to see. I mean, there's a lot of choices in there. I didn't expect it to be urban. It's very urban. It's not, you assume it's going to be suburban or rural, this traveling through the forest kind of thing. But instead it's no, we are going to torture
There's
people
no
in the
tall
sewer.
grass here.
Exactly.
No, exactly.
And then the use of the mime. Oh my God. That was
I
fantastic.
know.
Every,
Mr. Mime.
Every part of it. And it's I forgot that Pokemon existed until I saw it. And I was oh, right. I fucking, that's a great choice.
Here's how great this trailer is and how excited I was about this trailer.
Yeah.
I had a parent-teacher conference today for my daughter. Mm-hmm. I went, my wife and I went, we sat down. We're in the middle of this parent-teacher conference talking about it. And Melanie comes over to me and she goes, hey, have you caught any new Pokemon today? Because one of the things, she and Aiden love.
Speaking of which, you need to log back into Pokemon Go and send me some gifts because I've been waiting.
I'm sorry,
get some back.
I've been really busy.
Yeah, carry on.
But anyway,
I'm going to note that for about 45 minutes prior to we were recording some stuff before. For about 45 minutes, you had Pokemon Go up, searching for Pokemon.
I get. Yeah. Anyway, point is. Thanks for ratting me out, Case. Point is, let's not get sidetracked. This is a good story. Point is, like, so she's like, hey, have you like caught a new Pokemon? I'm like, no, I haven't played yet today. I was like, but check out this trailer. Right in the middle of the parent-teacher conference, I'm like, YouTube. And she's like, oh, look, Blastoise. Oh, look, Charizard. Oh, look, Mr. Mom. Like, for the entire time, she's just like calling out every Pokemon she sees.
There's a Doduo in there. There's a
question.
Charmander
Was
in there.
the teacher involved in this?
She just looked like, the fuck? And Jenny just like kept a straight face and just like kept on talking.
This is my world. This is the lot I've cast in it.
Yeah. You can tell Jenny was just like, I've given up. I don't even try anymore.
Yeah. Like, if the teacher was involved, I'd be really fascinated about the
That
life you're
would've been
living.
amazing.
Or better yet, if the teacher had been like the one who brought it up to, like,
Yeah, but like, oh, did you see this? Yeah, we don't have that good of a teacher there.
or where he or she was like, oh wait, hold on, I've got my laptop here. We can watch it on a bigger screen.
Let's get a better view of that. We're gonna get out the projector.
Yeah, so suffice to say, was not anticipating anything about this. Assumed it was going to be
Garbage.
kind of nothing.
Yeah.
And totally not what I expected. Like, Ryan Reynolds is making some smart career choices nowadays after not doing so for a long time.
Right.
Yeah, it's like he learned his lessons well.
Yeah.
He really has.
And this one, I mean, maybe it tanks, but at the very least, this trailer is a ton of fun.
This trailer's a 10 out of 10.
Yeah. And I'm
really
excited
is.
for it. My only hope is that we get Gilbert Gottfried as Jinx. That's my. That's all I want,
casting.
guys.
That is fantastic.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
Really, Gilbert Gottfried is just
For
about
any
anybody.
Pokemon voice.
Do you think Snorlax will be like a Godfather style crime lord?
That would be amazing.
Like, I kind of see
I
that
get that
one.
sense because he's got some power.
Yeah.
Well, he's
know?
big and strong, and he always has like people carting him around. Like he never actually does anything himself.
Right.
Yeah, like you could totally see Snorlax's tiny little cat paw, like barely scratching his chin.
So someone having to kiss his ring.
Yeah.
It was then that I realized that it was Pseudo-Doodle all along.
You got in my way for the last time, Detective Pikachu. Snorlax!
Yeah, I'm totally down with that.
Yeah. Oh my god. And then it just is it's just season 1 Daredevil finale right there. It doesn't even just like do shot for shot. It actually just cuts to the footage.
He's just staring into the white wall.
Snorlax, but then like it pans around and you see him just snoring. He's just passed out.
All right, so let's move on into we'll move to
the
the
meat
Star
of the
Wars.
show.
Well, unfortunately, we're right up against this fantastic fun news. We did get some bad news today, and that was Stan Lee passed away today, on November 12th, at the age of 95.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, personally for me, I'm really broken up about it with like kind of an emotional tie, which is he's the same age as my grandfather, and so like that's actually been like this thing. Like my grandfather's like my last remaining grandparent, and is like doing fine for being at that point, and it's just like amazing and like kind of touching. And it's weird that I've had this sort of like this like ghost particle with Stan Lee up until this point, where it's like, oh, that's the other like incredibly old figure that I'm familiar with in my life. Like at this point, we've had lots of people who were far younger pass away, and feel old when they passed away. Not just like the people who were like taken too soon, but like Leonard Nimoy, for example. Like they're old, but they weren't 95. I went off to World War II and was like the playwright for the army.
Yeah.
Old. Like,
Yeah.
there wasn't. I was before that, like writing for Marvel Comics,
Right.
and then I was drafted
Then
into
off
the
to war.
military.
Yeah,
Old.
exactly.
Like that's a person who had a career, then went into the military. When you usually like, oh, he was
Came out of
taken
the military.
senior year of high school,
Yeah.
like, and had to like go off to Vietnam. Like that's still Vietnam's like. Like older parent, or Korea, but like World War II, man, like that's like so few people who are like active participants of pop culture, because he was still getting the Marvel cameos.
Right. He was coming to cons regularly.
Yeah,
the last few years was slowing down a bit, but he was still at quite a bit.
He had an active Twitter presence, which that was clearly his people. But he was constantly putting videos up on it, so he was there. He wasn't just like this reclusive. Oh, you kind of knew he was still alive because every now and then a quote would come out. No, he was actively in the nerd community still.
Yeah, people would interview him about movies that were coming out. It wasn't like he just threw his name as a stamp on something. So yeah, it's definitely sad. Part of me was also like, there's a weird sense of relief too, because he had been fighting some really tough things.
Yeah,
and his wife passed. I think that was a huge blow.
Yeah, and you kept on hearing news of him, things like him being a little bit more frail at conventions and stuff like that. So it was just like it was almost like for me at least, I was like, I'm glad he didn't go out in anything like it didn't seem like it was anything awfully painful, long suffering. So there's that. I think the thing for me is just kind of looking back at it's cool to see someone who's been so ever present in the stories that we love, but an energy that's there. And there's always talk about how much did he actually contribute. In a lot of ways, he was definitely the marketing man and the hype man in a lot of ways. And yes, he definitely had creative contributions, but Kirby and Ditko obviously were very important as well. But I think the importance of a guy who had that kind of energy, I think sometimes people might crap a little bit too much on the idea of the guy who is the hype man is super important for this. To make these stories acceptable, to help to shepherd it from just create cool ambitious ideas, but he was a huge part in making it something that was acceptable storytelling
and mainstream. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
He took there's plenty of people who have stories and ideas or whatever that never get told to anybody but their close friends and family. And like you said, you need to have a guy like Stan to get it out to the masses and to be that face of the organization and of the story and stuff like that.
And that charisma is important.
Well, as far as the creation side of things go, even at the most critical some people are of Stan Lee in terms of his contributions to things like Fantastic Four or Spider-Man or all these, you can't deny that he at least was the editorial voice on all of this. Anyone who's who buys into the Jack Kirby I created Spider-Man bit, which I think is insane, because that was clearly the character of Spider-Man was the most important part, was the Ditko contributions to his style and his world that he was in. But we know when he's whole cloth, I should be owed praise for it. I'm not trying to bash Jack Kirby, but he did have a habit of pushing this one. I can say bullshit, because we know the original designs for Spider-Man. They were different designs that had a different costume that was much more generic superhero and not particularly interesting. Yes, Jack Kirby, huge contributor, was able to create Silver Surfer with no idea from anyone else. No one denies that one. We're just someone was oh yeah, we're gonna do this big thing, it'll be really cool, yada yada yada, go draw it. And he came back with this silver beacon from the stars signaling the apocalypse. What the fuck is that?
That's
never
an acid
denied.
Trip. That's what that is.
Never denied that Kirby had these big parts. But Stan Lee was a shaping force for it. It not only gave them their voice, but actually was no, this idea is good, this idea is bad. We have the rights to the Human Torch. We can use the Human Torch. I don't want to use the character. They're they had you need that business person who can pull together what they are capable of doing and what will make financial sense. Because if Spider-Man was just Amazing Fantasy 15, that would be a very different world that we live in today.
Yeah, absolutely. Ben, what about you? What was the?
I mean, it's. I have mixed emotions about it, I guess. I mean, he's obviously such a huge part of nerd culture, but also part of my teenage years growing up of reading and being such a huge fan of Marvel Comics. To know that voice is gone, and there's plenty of great voices who have picked up the mantle and continue on, but they all seem to. They're not as big as Stan for whatever reason. You have Quesada doing great things, and there's lots of other people in the comics industry, but it's not Stan Lee. So like for comics as a whole, I'm sad. For the man himself, I mean, he lived 95 years. He did everything that he could possibly do, and I mean, it's a life well lived, and I'm celebrated that aspect of him, and I'm thankful for his contributions and everything he accomplished, and I'm glad that I remember when my grandfather died, how horribly lonely and sad my grandmother was. And I get the feeling, and I mean, other than I think I heard a story of from Kevin Smith talking about it, about how sad that Stan was without his wife. So I'm glad like that suffering and that part of his life is over for him too. So, yeah, I mean, you can't be anything but sad, really.
Yeah.
But
as a nerd,
like as you pointed out, like that sort of that happy sad that we got so much time with him, as a figure, it's just by virtue of like the amount of life lived in the public eye, like it's going to be a long time before we have a person who has sort of hit that level. Yeah. Like I was thinking about this where, like, Paul McCartney feels so old, but Paul McCartney was the teen heartthrob of the generation after Stan Lee. Yeah. That's how old that we're talking about Stan Lee is. Like, sure, there's some actors who are in their 80s now, and but he was 95, and we just saw him at AwesomeCon. He was at AwesomeCon. We went and saw him.
Yeah,
and I mean,
was that last year?
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't this year. It was the year before.
Yeah. I mean, this would be guys like Vincent Price still in that same ballpark. You know, like impossibly. Christopher Lee, for example. Like, so we lost him. So that's another one of those ones who's just so far up there.
Sean Connery, I guess, would be
but he's been a recluse in years, and Patrick Stewart is probably up there, but he's not that old.
He's
no, he's 70s, right? Like that's,
and he looks young for Well, that's because
he looks young old. Like that's that's crazy. Yeah, even as I'm saying it, like no, Patrick Stewart's in like a younger ballpark than John Lennon. Yeah, or not John Lennon. Paul McCartney.
How old is Ian McKellen?
That's a good. I feel like he's at 80s.
Yeah, I think so too.
I don't think we had anybody really in their 90s active in any kind of entertainment.
Because McKellen is still pretty active in entertainment,
right? And still fairly physical. Like that's like Stan Lee. Like there was no question about Stan Lee being like not able to physically move around a lot for the last couple movies. Like no one questioned. There was like, well, that would have been nice if he had more of a scene to it. Like, nope.
That's all right.
He's going to stand there and it's going to be okay.
It's going to stand there and you're going to be like, that's great. Yeah. He's standing there.
Speaking of cameos, I guess the maybe he got time to do a Spider-Man
79 for Ian McKellen.
Okay.
Yeah, so not nearly that. 16
not
years
quite
younger.
as old as I thought. Yeah. So I guess at this point, like they may have his last cameo for a Marvel movie may end up being Spider-Man 2. That's kind of an appropriate one to go out on. I kind of was hoping that, like, with all the extra takes they have from past ones, like, can they somehow work them into future ones? Like, I wouldn't mind for them to cut back to the one from the first Spider-Man.
Where he's the janitor?
No, Spider-Man Homecoming.
Oh.
The one where he's at the window.
Yes.
And when Spidey gets caught trying to...
steal the bike.
Well, no, he was...
It was the car.
Yeah,
it's the
he
car
catches
door
a guy who's actually trying to get into his own car.
Yeah.
So, and then there's that argument that breaks out.
Yeah, you could use some, like, deep fakes to, like, change the mouth movement and then, like, splice together words.
Right.
So it'd be like that, the send-off to Chef on South Park. Where
or, God forbid, they decide to do like they did with Princess Leia in Rogue One.
Yeah, no, we don't need that one.
Yeah, nobody needs that.
And not unless he was, like, a huge part.
Yeah.
Like an uncomfortably large part for it, like a Stanley that could never have been.
We finally get the answer to that Watchers.
Well, that's actually I was about to say that.
Right.
Like that worked.
That does work.
Mind sync.
Hey, we finally got it. Now you know what it's like, Addy.
Yeah, because that Watcher thing was like my favorite thing for Stan Lee. So I like, and like I wouldn't be mad if he was like a pivotal part of the end of Infinity War.
Right.
Yeah.
And like
I almost hope he is.
Hope that he is a Watu, the Watcher.
yeah,
I really
exactly.
do. I really do.
Like it would be great.
I'd be totally down for it. I have no problem with
Like
that.
it would be great if the end of Infinity War 2, and this is just super weird ass speculation that they probably won't, but ends with Stan Lee sitting on the moon looking at the blue pearl that is Earth, and someone walks up next to them and they talk for a moment, and that person flies off towards the Earth or something like that, like be it Iron Man, like being like, oh, you really think this is like we have a future, like that this world, or that this world is worth saving? I do. I'm a true believer. And then like Iron Man flies off.
Oh, that hit me in the heart.
Oh, you son of a bitch. Well, all right, stop recording. We're done.
I mean, that would be amazing.
Right.
Oh, it would be perfect.
I really hope someone recorded that now.
We did just now.
Let's get this out before this movie comes out and we get Star Wars again.
You know what? I could totally see that as a scene even with Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Or Fantastic Four or something like that to introduce them into the universe.
That is sort of a bit of the tragedy is we won't have a good we don't have a good Fantastic Four movie during
What if we
Stan's
introduce?
lifetime.
What if the people at the end are 4 astronauts who've traveled to the moon?
Oh, you son of a bitch!
And that's the group, and that's how we are introduced. This would be the Sam
would be
Jackson
so
at the end of
cool.
Iron Man 1.
Right.
Like, this is how we're introduced to the Fantastic Four, with that, like, it's just like, just some appearance of these 4 astronauts, and, like, you see one's, like, a weirdly bulky shape.
Oh, that would be so beautiful.
And just like Storm on the name tag.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm totally in for that. I'd watch that. I'd cry.
Right.
Yep. Well, big bucket of win to Stanley. I mean, that's a life well lived, and I mean, I don't think any of us would be here as excited about nerd culture if it wasn't for Stan.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to change gears right now and get into Star Wars, what the show's all about. So we're going to talk Star Wars. We've got some big news is that Bob Iger had some big announcements regarding the Disney streaming service. Officially, it's still expected next year, and it has got a name now. The direct-to-consumer streaming service will now be called Disney Plus. And 2 major announcements as far as content that will be appearing on the series on the service. We already knew the Mandalorian, Jon Favreau's live-action series will be showing up there, but we do have confirmation that we will get an MCU series and a second live-action Star Wars series. This one will be focused on Cassian Andor, and during the formative years of the Rebellion and prior to the events of Rogue One: A Star Wars Story. Diego Luna will reprise the role of Andor. Luna said, going back to the Star Wars universe is very special for me. I have so many memories of the great work we did together and the relationships I made throughout the journey. We have a fantastic adventure ahead of us, and this new exciting format will give us the chance to explore this character more deeply. The rousing spy thriller will explore tales filled with espionage and daring missions to restore hope to a galaxy in the grip of a ruthless empire. There's no date for the series, but of course we know that we'll be getting The Mandalorian probably first, and then we'll get this miniseries as well. So, what are you guys' thoughts so far? We'll talk about the MCU series afterwards.
This is great. Cassian was maybe the most interesting character in Rogue One.
Yeah, I was gonna say basically that was why I'm sort of intrigued by this part.
Yeah.
Like we've sort of said that Rogue One, the characters are very archetypal, but Cassian, despite it being an archetype, is one that we haven't really seen very much in Star Wars, where it's like the much darker shade of gray than what like Han Solo is.
Especially for the Rebel Alliance, because, with Star Wars, even though there are plenty of characters with some degree of gray, I think the Rebel Alliance has been very, you tend to go Rebel Alliance is very clearly good guys and Empire is clearly bad
how
guys.
firmly he believes, because like Lando and Han, they don't super believe in the rebellion, like they ultimately do, but they're like a little detached from it. They're not really affected by it, whereas like Cassian very clearly has wounds,
and he's also made some very rough decisions for the favor of the rebellion.
Yeah,
and that was sort of an interesting sort of wrinkle to the nature of the Rebel Alliance, and having to be a spy and having to do things that he may not be comfortable with was definitely had a lot of potential. We may get K2 on this one, and K2 was definitely was a fun droid. So
yeah, I'd say it's a mistake if they don't.
Yeah, I think so too.
It might be like this is the story of how they get him, which is probably actually kind of cool.
Which has already been done in comics.
Yeah,
so,
but
they could do it again.
It could be repeated. That's
or change it up.
I would be upset. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This of all the characters, this is the one that I kind of do want to see a little bit more of, and I think that warrants a closer look at. Is it a miniseries or is it a show?
It's a series.
It's a series, so it's just going to be like 6 episodes or maybe.
Let's
it is
just
a
say
series.
10.
Series. Let's say 10.
Yeah. Let's say season 1, 10 episodes.
Yeah, let's say it's like a Netflix kind of series.
Yeah. It's a spy thriller, so I mean, a spy thriller can definitely have some mileage.
For sure.
We've seen plenty of long-running spy shows. Some of them obviously better than others, but
if this is person of interest in Star Wars, I'm totally in.
Well, that's more procedural than spy thriller. Like this is more Alias or 24 or I guess
The Americans. Maybe kind of.
I've never watched The Americans.
I haven't watched The Americans. That's more of that is an espionage show. I wonder if but that's definitely with them in deep cover,
right?
For the whole.
Yeah, I was just thinking in terms of the structure.
This is more individual.
It's not
missions.
like each episode, right?
Yeah. Is it? That was what was implied. It's implied in the description. So, but I mean, carrying out
super
missions.
fucking dark, and it's like every one of those missions is him kind of killing someone.
Yeah, right.
Like they could go that way.
I wonder how dark they'll get. I don't
a little
expect
on Star Warsy though.
Yeah, well, maybe. I mean, I have a feeling because it is maybe depending on what we see from the Mandalorian and how far they go with some of that stuff. It'll be an interesting tone setter for what they're willing to do on the on the streaming service. So. But I mean, you can do a spy show without getting too dark, but at the same time, you could obviously get crazy dark with a spy show as well. So there's definitely a lot of range. If I think the moment you bring K2 in, though, I think you do have to lighten it up a little.
Well, that's what he's there for. He's there for that
to undercut.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah,
it's like the most effective version of Robin.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
And he's a great droid. He's one of maybe my second favorite droid in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, he's great. I'm going to make a prediction now. I'm going to say most of the deaths that Cassian does will be to some sort of robot and or alien. There's not going to be a lot of human deaths. Yeah, there's not going to be a lot of human.
Many Bothans died.
And Cassian killed them all.
I mean, the wrong Death Star.
Exactly.
But that would be the hilarious thing when it's like many Bothans died for us to get this information. It was actually Cassian murdered his way through them
to get the
information. You wouldn't believe how many men we had to kill to get this.
He gets his scene like Vader at the end of Rogue One.
He's just cutting through him. He's just lined up. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I'm in. I'm excited about it.
I had mentioned to you, if this is like just a one season off, I'd be down for it too. But I'd love to see them do that with some of the other characters from Rogue One. Like I would like a one-off series with Jyn and Saw Gerrera, explaining some of their backstory, and another one with with Baze and Chirrut. Mm-hmm. They don't each necessarily need their own. Like Baze doesn't need one separate from Chirrut, but I think that pairing works, and I think Jyn and Saw that pairing works as well. But
but they better move fast if they're gonna do that because it's already 2 years out. Just think looking at Daredevil season 3 stuff.
Well, you got to do Jyn then next. Baze and Chirrut, you could wait a little longer.
Yeah. Like just because even if they're looking great, but if it's 5-6 years later,
they still look 5 or 6 years older.
Some of these
especially if you're doing a pre. Well, and obviously you have to
do prequels for all of these characters.
For all these characters, so you can't. Yeah. I don't. I think this is really the only one that they're going to be able to.
This is the one that has the most potential, and this is the smart one to go with and start with for sure.
I would like to see more of Jyn, but
yeah. She signed for a couple more movies that are not going to happen. So
no, they are not. No, they are not.
So
Thanks,
maybe this is the start of a new studio system. Like,
right.
With Disney having, if you get a contract for both a Marvel and a Star Wars property, theoretically you could be popping up in all these things. Yeah. And it's sort of like a backdoor way of having that studio system where like you have your stable of actors who could just be in whatever you need to put in them. Like if you're like, I've got 5 movies with you, no matter what, you're doing those 5 movies, and you could do literally any type of movie. Like they might be stuck with like 1 or 2 characters, but they're like they have to be in that movie. So if you're like, I need Robert Downey Jr., you just put Iron Man in the script, like and then all of a sudden you're stuck with him, or like or he's stuck with you, I should say, and can't go off and do a different movie in that same time.
Right.
Yeah. Speaking of the MCU, the other major series announced was we're getting a Loki series as well, starring Tom Hiddleston. Will be in the MCU as well, and apparently there's even a rumor that Lady Sif might show up again. So
good.
I'd be happy. I mean, like I like Loki is such a interesting pop culture figure at this point because like we were so into him for a while there. Like he was the good villain that was like really compelling, and like Tumblr fell in love with him, and he became gifable, and like there were just all these memes about how charming and handsome and like Loki was, and like and even if that wasn't your thing, he was still a fun villain and like a compelling one. That it's cooled down a lot at this point. Like,
well, now that they've gotten a lot more villains in there.
I know a couple girls who it has not cooled down at all for.
But it's so like I'm still down for it, but I think it's because I'm back on the upswing, in part because of like Ragnarok. Like there was like this sort of stretch, and I would say probably Thor: The Dark World was kind of the height of this, where it's like he was as big a part as he was because of how successful he was in the previous 2 movies. And so like since then, you know, like so probably there I was like I am so fucking done with Loki at this point, and then Ragnarok came around, and it's like I'm back on Team Loki. Like,
so here's the thing, because I totally agree with you. Like Thor 2 happened, and I was like, I've had enough Loki. I don't need to see him ever again. Mm-hmm. But I will say that the kind of stories that I was hoping to get out of Loki from the first Thor movie and from Thor 1 and 2, I think now they have the chance to really do that. Like now you can tell the story that was told in Ragnarok about Loki turning into turning into a snake or something like that, or like not necessarily that, but now you actually have a chance to do like some to handle the Warriors 3 and Sif and some of those other characters that kind of got a little shafted because they hadn't quite figured out the tone, because there's some cool stuff that they can do in that universe that just didn't quite land. But Loki is definitely is a character that people like. It's definitely the safest bet to kick off with. So I'm down for a Loki series. So
if it's like a prequel-ish kind of series, or if they're playing with sort of the cyclical nature of gods, and actually, have they announced when it is set? Is it?
I think they have not said anything about that. I think they want to keep that. I think that's going to have to be kept quiet until after Infinity War.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's true because of Loki being dead.
Yeah.
Which still just doesn't quite feel real.
Yeah, I know. Although I rewatched Infinity War last weekend, actually. And like that scene, like that actually really works for me.
Oh, I think it's a legit death. Like,
but it's still,
But it's Loki at this point. Like, it just
you can totally see it. Like,
somehow like Loki is the answer to the question of like, well, why doesn't Batman just kill the Joker and somehow still have the Joker in every episode? Yeah. Like, oh no, Batman thought he did. Like, totally thought he did. Oh, the Joker's back. Okay. But if it's a prequel series, it would be kind of fun if they do the story of Balder. So the myth of Norse, or like one of the big central myths for how like Ragnarok comes about is that the god Balder, one of Loki's children, god of beauty, light, and bravery, had been foretold that his death would signal the beginning of the end of the world, and so his mother traveled across the world to try to prevent this by making literally everything promise that they would not hurt Balder, and the only thing she missed was the lowly mistletoe because she didn't think anyone could be hurt with mistletoe. And so Loki, wanting to fuck with everything, makes an arrow out of mistletoe and then gives it to Baldur's blind brother Hodor, who then who then is like, oh, but I can't engage in this game where all the gods would like throw stuff at Baldur and it would just like bounce off because they all pledged not to hurt him. And he's like, no, I will steady your hand so you can throw it. And he's like, oh, I can finally participate in this game. And he throws the arrow, and like with Loki guiding the hand, but Loki's not the one doing it. And it pierces Baldur's heart and kills him. And so the world is like the beginning of the end of the world is foregone now, or a foregone conclusion because of this. And so Loki is then like cursed to have like poison spewed on his face until the end of time. Meanwhile, his kids like rise up and destroy the world in various sundry ways. But the key point there would be it'd be really interesting if set on Asgard, he arranges for the murder of someone and is keeping it secret.
Yeah.
Like this big drama about it, like, or maybe at the beginning of the season he accidentally kills Baldur, or like kind of does so in like this like weird fit of mania, and then the series then is following him having killed Baldur, trying to hide it, like trying to keep his ruse so that he opens in Thor 1 as this like trusted brother of Thor.
Yeah, that would be
but
cool.
there was always this other brother who they had sacrificed, or maybe not. Like they'd have to make it.
They
not
could change the relationship.
Yeah, exactly. They've already done so. So,
yeah,
it's just like another royal. You know, it used to be the Warriors 4.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
What happened to that guy? We don't talk about it. Yeah, there's a lot that they can do with this series. I'm pretty excited about it. I think that getting Tom Hiddleston to come back. I mean, they must just be giving that guy just bags of cash at this point.
Right.
Yeah, but where else is he getting those bags of cash?
He seems to be showing up in
He shows up
movies.
in some stuff, but like, I feel like most of those were things he booked during like the very beginning of the Loki peak.
That's true, yeah.
And then it just took a little while for them all to come out.
Yeah. That is true.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe it's drying up, and that led him back to this. And either way, I'm glad this is going to be good. I'm curious to see more of Asgard and the political goings on of Asgard that we haven't really seen.
Yeah.
So
the darker history of Asgard.
You guys keep going dark on this. I just want to see more Asgard.
History.
Yeah,
Okay,
I just want to see. I don't think it's going to be that dark.
Yeah.
Like, Loki's a pretty fun character in the Marvel Universe.
That's true.
The story that you just told, yeah, absolutely, that's a pretty dark story.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to get that tone.
I'm saying it'd be like
Loki.
Riverdale, which is a little weird for an actor in his 40s.
That would be a brave
Loki
move.
in high school.
Well, they did that comic.
Yeah, that's right.
Twice.
And then we also got Loki, Agent of Asgard.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, it could also be Loki runs a nightclub and all the gods are coming to his spot. And it's just like, like bright.
So the villain pub from how it should have ended.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a really fun series.
Yeah, I imagine they stick closer to the Taika Waititi interpretation of Loki and Thor. So
what if it's like Birdman with Loki producing that play that they do at the beginning of Ragnarok?
I'd watch that.
I was thinking more like Step Brothers with Loki and Thor, but I guess Thor may not necessarily be in this. We'll see. Yeah.
There's no way that he's not going to have a cameo.
He has to have at least, he's
like
got
that
a
would
cameo.
be insane if they somehow didn't show up in any way.
Yeah.
But it does make you really wonder, like, what's the story then? Like, what can they do without having Chris Hemsworth be a big part of this? However,
it's just Loki.
So then maybe the question is, maybe he gets moved to somewhere else. Like, so if it's not an Asgardian story.
Well, I think that's
Catalina wine mixer.
Well, I think that's where the Lady Sif rumor comes from. Like that'll be the team up. That'll be the pairing.
That'd be good.
Yeah, and it could work.
It's almost a buddy cop.
Yeah.
So it's
situation.
It's almost like a side story to Ragnarok if Loki wasn't a part of Ragnarok. Like go to a different place, or maybe he finds her. Which would be interesting.
Yeah.
It'd be really weird if they end up like Sif hooks up with Loki after the end of the world.
I'm pretty sure
I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be doing a Google search later.
So the other potential series that we might see, we may see a Scarlet Witch series. That's one of the rumors. Although Nerdist had a really interesting idea that might be a way to introduce the X-Men into the MCU, that she could be the bridge.
How?
Well, I mean, there is the possibility for her chaos magic and reality altering type magic to somehow bring mutants into the MCU.
Oh, it's reverse M Day. That would actually be ridiculous.
Interesting. Right? Yeah, I don't buy that. Yeah. I don't think Nerdist got that one right. That doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's an out there decision, but
I would hate it if they actually did it. Like, I think it's really fun to speculate on.
Yeah.
If they actually did it, I feel like we would have lost all of the moral and emotional gains that the other characters have done.
Right.
Like, it's one thing to do like a little bit of a reboot, but to make it feel so much like it's like Age of Apocalypse. Like, it's so different a reality.
Well, so here's the thing. Getting a little deeper into the character in the story, like what if she decides she wants to restore Vision and Quicksilver, people she's lost, family she's lost, and in the process, the X-Men and the mutants are kind of brought into the picture. Like that doesn't seem like that much.
Here's my problem with this whole show.
Yeah.
Okay, is that we're going to be subjected to her bullshit. What is it? Accent. Yeah. I don't want. I can't sit through that.
She don't talk good. I hate this.
Right? I don't know. We'll see who can write it and who can direct it and keep that.
She still has to say the words. And it's just so bad.
Some directors, like, you know what? She may just need the right director. Like, she's had. Let's see. So she's had Whedon and the Russo brothers twice. I guess, and 3 times now.
Yeah.
Because she's in what? Avengers Age of Ultron, Civil War, and Infinity War 1 and now the next one.
2, yes.
So she's been in big event movies. So we've never really gotten a chance to like have someone focus in on our character a little bit.
Oh no, the character's fascinating.
Yeah.
I'm totally into learning more about the character.
Yeah.
That accent, no, not so much.
I'm fine if they just abandon the accent. Which is kind of what they kind of did with the Russos kind of did.
Kinda.
Yeah.
She was undercover. She had to like lose the accent so that she could blend in better.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's a beautiful accent. Where is it from? And it's like Sokovia. It's like, oh, I thought everyone died.
Oh no. Awkward. Yeah.
The other rumor is that we may get a Falcon and Winter Soldier series. A team-up series with the two of them.
I'm actually really here for that.
Yeah. That one I'm all down. I'm definitely down for.
That feels like such a classic, like, that feels like a Heroes for Hire kind of, like, pairing. Like, it feels so proper for those two characters who, like, have reasons to kind of hate each other but be united in a common cause.
Yeah.
With, like, just, like, similar enough that neither one of them, like, a story good for one it is still a story good for the other one in terms of, like, their conflicts, but also, like, different enough both in terms of power sets and actual backstories that that's really good. I really like this idea. Like, it's a much more
it's the MCU's Lethal Weapon.
Well, you know what it is? It's very similar to like the Green Lantern, Green Arrow, like hard traveling heroes stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
Like where like Falcon's a little bit more Law and Order. Like he's not like it's they set him up as being different than Rhodey, like but in terms of like their view of things, like the scale. But he's still like much more of like a lawful character. Yeah. Whereas like Bucky has gone through this like generally like all this brainwashing and sort of like ends justify the means kind of training, and already he sort of had that from his like World War II days relative to Cap. So like he could sort of be the sort of the more chaos and sometimes the bad things have to be done, and Falcon's like the brighter thinking like, no, we can do this without that kind of violence. We don't have to kill this man. He like his son is right there kind of story. Whereas Bucky will be like, I'm taking the shot. Like
I'm totally
down
for
that
this.
one.
This is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That's just a rumor.
That's still a rumor at this point. So no official announcement regarding that.
Disney, if they are working on this, Disney is just throwing they're throwing Netflix money into this thing.
Oh yeah. Well, they wanted to make sure people are serious about it. What's nice is at this point it's expected to be a much smaller price point than Netflix, just because they don't have the volume of content there yet.
That price is going to go up quick.
Yes, it will. Hopefully, maybe you can get grandfathered into something.
Or get a long-term contract or something.
Right.
I recommend it because that price is going to go up.
Yeah. Wait, did they say what the exact plans were, or just...
No. But Iger on, like, board calls has kind of mentioned like it's probably like $5-6 a month is
closer
expected.
to Hulu.
I wonder if they would do like a device limit and then incentivize like family plans so that you can put it on all your kids kind of thing.
Oh, of
They would
course.
have to.
It would. I mean, they don't have to, but like it's they certainly have a built-in option for that in a way that like Spotify doesn't. Like like it's not a given that you're going to get it for every member of your family. Like they can make whatever fucking call they want if they really care about music when they're 7.
Yeah.
Although all my kids do have their own Spotify account.
Well, you see, and that's the difference right
there.
there.
Exception right there.
Yeah.
But it's not as incentivized as like Disney. This is like built for the family market.
Yeah,
so you're like,
is.
well, all right, well, I've got my Apple TV and I've got a Fire Stick in the bedroom, and like, sure, there's some stuff I want to watch because I'm a grown up nerd, but my kids like I need to have Moana on them because they just won't fucking stop singing the song.
It's a great show.
And so that's got to be on the one downstairs because I don't want to deal with them right now because like I'm trying to like have some nice time with my wife.
If only. Clearly don't have kids.
Yeah, that might be too speculative right there.
Well, until we see what those missions are for Falcon and Bucky, we are right now dealing. We did get to see a mission carried out in the Star Wars universe with Poe Dameron and Kaz. You did not like it, Ben.
I did like it, but I'm still pissed about BB-8.
You gotta get
right
over
out on
it.
Front Street. Get rid of this character already. Like I got so excited when I
You're
saw.
full of BB hate.
I am. Yeah. Well, when Poe came,
Damn, dude.
that was so good. That was really good.
Oh my god.
That was really good. When I saw Poe come back, I was like, oh. Finally,
You were like, this is going to take BB-8 back.
Yeah, this makes all the sense in
I
the
was a little
world.
disappointed he didn't either.
It makes no sense.
Yeah. Well, he did say he's coming back for him soon, so you have a little hope there. But that being said, so beyond getting past Ben's BB hate, we'll get into the actual content of the episode itself. So in this episode we had Kaz was taken out by Jaeger to meet up with Poe Dameron for a training mission, and along the course of that training mission, training exercise, they came across a vessel in distress, and of course they investigate. There's creatures all over the place, and they turn out to be Kowakian monkey lizards. So
I'm going to tell you right now.
Oh,
Addy
I was going to message you.
Addy is gonna really lobby hard for one of these in
Kowakian Arvis needs a pet Kowakian monkey lizard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that for sure. And instead of Salacious P. Crumb, I'm just gonna call him Krusty. So, yeah.
Okay.
That's the hope.
Since you don't have your own kitty, you get a monkey lizard.
I'll definitely take a Kowakian monkey lizard to cackle on my shoulder.
It'll be like the Bizarro episode of the Superman animated series where like he gets where he like becomes obsessed with Krypton and like finds this alien predator that he calls Crypto that is like terrified of him because he's this one thing that he can't kill, but like is going around murdering people in Metropolis.
Right.
He's just like Crypto. Like that'll be yours. Like everyone else has their kitty, which are still cougars.
Right.
Just the fact they're kittens isn't the thing, and then you'll have this weird monster, like freaked out monster. You'll be like, "It's my kitty."
I think it's a cat.
Yeah, your int score is like a 7,
Right.
Yeah.
Although I'm good handle animal score.
That's wisdom, not intelligence.
Yeah. Well, but see, the thing is, I knew
This
enough.
type of kitty has like.
I knew enough to know how to summon tauntauns.
That's true. That is true.
And whisper to tauntauns to help them navigate.
Yeah, it's
difficult terrain.
Secretly, you are in tune with the Force, and that Force allows you to resonate with your DM.
That's fair. But back to Resistance.
What the hell? Sorry I brought it up.
I know, right? I was going to mention that later. I was going to save that for later instead of during the recap.
Everyone
of the
should be
episode.
listening to Scruffy Nerfers, by the way.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. There's some crazy shit happening on that show.
CertainPOV.com.
Yeah, if you don't, you might have no idea what we just talked about.
But so the Kowakian monkey lizards are all over this ship, and there's a giant Kowakian monkey lizard, like on steroids.
He's huge.
Yeah,
He's super jacked.
but while they're also dealing with that, they find a mysterious person who is passed out and in a case it seems like to escape these quacking monkey lizards. They bring her back to the platform on the Colossus. It turns out she is one of the pirates
that attacked the vessel.
That attacked the platform before, and that is working for the First Order, and that now they've actually introduced her into this place as sort of an inside man, inadvertently. So we had a little bit of a different. Yeah, we have a little bit of intrigue. We had also a very different type of episode, since it wasn't like just, we're trying to repair a piece of equipment and here's the platform. We got to see them go out into space and carry out a mission as well. So I really enjoyed that. I liked getting a chance to see Poe and him working with Kaz. This type of rescue mission seems like it's definitely the kind of thing that, there's nothing crazy special about seeing those kind of mission episodes. I feel it's the kind of thing we saw a lot in Clone Wars and Rebels, but it was nice seeing it here. And it was a good chance to have something that was a little bit more higher stakes. We had some good dogfighting as well in this episode too, and I'm all for that.
Yeah, you really got to see the animation shine when they were doing the dogfighting.
Yeah.
I thought. Like, you really felt the action. It reminded me very much of the Green Lantern series, where I was just like, man, this just looks so fun. Like, it's just so fluid, and the way the ships move in relationship to each other just felt like real.
Yeah,
and was very cinematic. It was great. Like, that part, I really enjoyed that part of the episode. Going back to the monkey lizards.
Yes. Oh, you want me to share the tweet I found?
Yes, because it's worth it.
Yeah, so the big buff Kowakian monkey lizard, like seriously, like monster size. I don't remember who tweeted it, but I think I saw it retweeted by Matt Martin from Star Wars Story Group. That the name for that particular Kowakian monkey lizard should be Swolacious P. Crumb. Of course, that is funny if you know that Jabba's Kowakian monkey lizard is Salacious P. Crumb. So
Swolacious is genius. It really is. Whoever thought of that, bravo.
Right.
Extra points for you. Oh, fantastic.
The best kitty.
It was pretty intimidating.
He was frightening as hell.
Yeah, like if I saw that in
people.
real life, I might give up right there.
Like when he pulls the two crew members
oh my God.
down the hallway,
Yeah.
it was reminiscent. It was a little too reminiscent of Solo and Chewbacca and the
Rathtar.
Yeah, the Rathtar.
Well, it was funny. They mentioned the Rathtar.
Yeah.
Like Poe mentions Rathtars, which seemed a little odd, especially because the Rathars are like
super rare.
Right. There's that, but he did mention Gundarks and Reeks as well.
Yeah.
So it was a nice little like.
It was a nod.
It was good to have some big creatures in the Star Wars universe, some monsters, even if it was something that we normally see as a mini sidekick type.
Well, I love how much Poe hates them.
Yes.
He's like, I hate
well,
these
he
things.
killed one. I did not, and he was surprised to kill one too.
He totally did. And it was done really well.
It was
like,
fun.
The look on his face is like, oops.
And the look on the other Kowakian.
Like, oh my God, he
and he
killed
runs
him.
off. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, that was fun.
The other thing we have is apparently did BB-8 make a friend with the other droid, or are they
Obviously,
into
yes.
each other?
Yep.
Oh, so is that like BB-8's girlfriend?
I feel like yes.
So
Sparks are flying.
Son of
took
a
it away
bitch.
from me.
Son of a bitch.
Almost was there.
Force resonance.
Yeah.
You two. All right, I'm going to have to separate you two. I don't think it'll do any good, but I'm going to separate you anyway.
I mean, but it was really weird seeing sort of slightly flirty looks between two
Robots.
ball droids. You know?
Well, you put it that way.
Oh,
Now
right.
I'm really
That's
uncomfortable
really
with it. Now I'm really uncomfortable with it.
I was kind of hoping they would switch droids.
That's what I wanted.
Oh, like
too.
the heads switch bodies, or
No.
Oh, they could do that too,
Yeah.
but that Kaz would
how
take
they
that
mate.
other droid. Yeah.
That's how
That's
they
how they
mate.
mate. You just have like black bar right over the top of the droid.
That's what I was. That's what I was anticipating the whole time, and I was really getting into this new droid, and I was like,
because another like cranky personality.
Yeah, I was like, okay, cool. Just a little cranky, a little jealous. I dig this. This is gonna be fun. It's a chick robot.
Right.
Nope, she's gone.
Yeah.
I was really disappointed. I'm hoping that that's the eventual payoff.
Yeah, I think it will be once they decide what they're really kind of doing with this. Because again, this is 6 months out from Force Awakens, and I've also heard that they are like BB-8 obviously is going to have to go back to Poe by the time they cross over. So, and the show is going to like overlap with Force Awakens. So. Yeah, we'll have to see how all of that pans out.
But as far as like the flirty behavior between the two droids, like that's, I guess to me like that's just the next evolution of what they've been doing with their droids on the cartoons. Like
that sounds so weird.
I know, but like when you go back to like Clone Wars and you'd have like the R2 and C-3PO episodes, which were just like really kids oriented and silly. And then, like, the Chopper stuff was a little more interesting, a little more teenager driven.
More angsty.
Yeah, because he was such a crotchety old droid.
Yeah.
So then to have, like...
Technically, he has PTSD based on one of the trailers they did. Yeah. Because he's a war veteran is what they did.
Download syndrome?
Right.
It's a real bad code, man. Real bad code. You've seen some code.
I've seen some code you haven't seen before. Speaking of which, I got to come back to Detective Pikachu.
So then they'll have like the new coolness of and the new hotness of BB-8 having sort of a flirty relationship. Kind of works for me. Yeah. I don't really want to see a whole episode of it, but it works in doses.
Yeah.
I hope that they learned their lesson from Clone Wars and don't do like whole droid episodes. Because those droid episodes are my least favorite part
Here's
of
the
Clone
thing.
Wars.
I don't think that's a lesson that to be learned because I don't think... I think... Not that you're the only person who dislikes the droid episodes, but they had droid episodes in... Like, a couple droid episodes in Rebels.
Yeah, they had the one about the keeper that he ended up like lost in space.
Yeah, the inventory droid. Yeah.
That was a great episode.
That was a good one.
That was a great episode.
Yeah, AP5. Yeah. So, it can be done. It's just, it depends on how they do it. So, I've since rewatched those droid episodes from...
And they're still bad.
No, they're fun.
You're an
they're
idiot.
Fun.
You're wrong. You like Ewoks. I can't trust you.
Okay, well, fair enough. It's a difference of opinion, and I'm right. So, but speaking
of politics,
we'll wrap this episode up. But I just want to say, and I tweeted this out with a screenshot of the Jigglypuff in the Detective Pikachu episode trailer. Yeah. But seriously, that Jigglypuff looks like it's seen something.
I mean, its name is Jigglypuff. What do you think? I mean, like if there is a Pokemon that it was destined to be a stripper.
It's too many syllables for a stripper.
Jigglypuff. I don't know.
That works.
Yeah. It works.
I guess it does.
It also works as a pimp too. You're right.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, no, the pimp is Wigglytuff.
Yeah, you're right. He works his way up.
It gets the slap attack from Smash Brothers. It does a pimp slap.
On that note, we're wrapping this up. You can check out.
I thought it was Geodude.
You can check out our podcasts on all of our social media on our website, certainpov.com. And until next time, stay scruffy, my nerf herders.
No, Geodude's the guy who beats up the people for the pimp.
Oh, he's the enforcer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. He's the heavy.